Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. God bless you. My name is Pastor Yemi Omoboyega. You're welcome to my channel. God bless you. Thank you. Please subscribe to my channel, like our videos, press the notification button so that you get to know when we upload new videos, comment as you consider fit, and share our videos. I want to talk on taxation of religious organizations. Taxation of religious organizations. Just yesterday, I was on the TikTok and I came across a video clip where, fake or real, I don't understand, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu bared his mind on his government's plan to tax tithe collecting churches and mosques. Tithe collecting churches and mosques. And he said that if the church is run as a business, then the church must contribute its own quota to the development of the nation by paying tax. Immediately I heard this, I said, we are moving forward. We are moving forward. Let me first of all address the mosques. And I will simply say that President Tinubu is only being clever by adding mosques to it, because mosques, as we know, I don't know, those of you who are Muslims or imams, you will be able to school us as to whether the mosques do collect tithes. And definitely that I know, I've never heard that Muslims are collecting tithes. Or maybe there are some sects, because as you have various groups, different groups in Christianity, so you do have them in Islam. So maybe there are some imams or some churches, some mosques that are collecting tithes or something typical to tithes that made President Tinubu to add the imams or mosques into this debate about tithing, paying tax to government by religious centers. So to me, I think it's just a clever way to say I'm not talking to just one group, but all groups that are collecting tithes or something similar to tithes. That is making these religious centers look like business centers, which Archbishop Okogie has rightly described the churches, especially the Pentecostal churches of this world, to be. Be that as it may, let us examine the church. The practice of tithing is in the church. The practice of paying first fruit is in the church. the practice of paying offerings, maybe that is why President Tinubu added the mosques, because at least mosques are collecting offerings. It might be free will gift and all that, but they are collecting offerings. So then the church has many other practices that generate series of monies that eventually confirms that if the church is not a business center, there is nothing else to call it. It's no longer an NGO. It's no longer a spiritual center. It's no longer a place where people can go to serve their God and return without carrying serious burdens back to their base. Sometimes more than they brought to the church as burdens, they will come back from the church with more burdens, especially finance, especially the way the people are used, especially the time, especially the people's intellect or brains or the future, their destinies. Because the way, particularly, one will be very specific, the Pentecostal churches are running is as if that is the convert's primary business, that is out to do the work full time without considering the other aspects of his life. That the focus should be on the spiritual, not the physical, because you don't even need to consider what to eat. You don't need to consider your future, just be pumping in money into the church. Then another practice in the church is the unending and unlimited demands for various other funds like donations, contributions, appeals, pledges, vows, projects monies, projects funding, and thanksgiving, everything you can ever think of. Everything, in fact. But amongst them all, the one that stands out and upon which the church budgets most, predictably most, is tithing and maybe first fruit. Now, in the olden days, that is in the Old Testament era, tithing was instituted, was allowed to be collected. And the purpose were so stated. If you read the book of Deuteronomy, I think it's chapter 16 now, I can't remember. Please Google it. Tithing, just type tithing. Everything about tithing will come out. Now, what was the purpose, the main purpose of tithing? Apart from the one that Abraham, who first paid tithe to the church, to Melchizedek, apart from that one, the church tithing was allowed to be paid by God for the sake of the people, the Levites, the people that are assigned the duty of attending to the spiritual side of human being, the Levites that were chosen as the people to administer in the church of God, in the temple temple they call it. And these people were saddled with the sole responsibility of doing no other job than to administer the temple or to the tabernacle or whatever, where God is worshipped. And because of the need for them to be devoted, they were forbidden from running their businesses or going into any other business. God made that provision so that the people can feed, can take care of them and everything that should be done. Okay. That's the Old Testament dispensation. But let's look at the New Testament dispensation that dismantles everything. Hebrews 7, chapter 5 says, when you were paying your tithe, you were paying it according to the law, because the entire Old Testament was the period of the law. It was legal then. In that sense, as at that time, Malachi 3:8-10 was very relevant. But the variant of it that the current day Pentecostal churches brought, which does not really tally 100% with the intendment of God, other than for the church to make money, is the fact that Malachi 3:8-10 was addressed particularly to the priests, that is the Levites, for whom the money was meant, because they were expected to pay 10% of all the money, all the food. And in the first place, tithing was not money. 10% of whatever comes in are supposed to be in the storehouse. 10% of the 10%. The populace was to pay 10%, and the priests were to pay 10%, deposit 10% of whatever is given to them into the storehouse for the less privileged, the widows, the orphans, and all that, and even the ministers. But the priests were not paying this money, so they were not obeying this commandment. So God was angry with them, and he said they have robbed him of tithes and offerings. But when we get to the New Testament, Christ suretyed a new covenant that is supersedes the old. Therefore, the issue of tithing was not at all of paramount importance. Luke 11, 40-40, let's say 40-42. Matthew 23, verse 23. Christ himself rebuked the Pharisees that is the priests, who were collecting tithes, and made it clear that even as at then, even though the tithing was still correct, was still legal, was still okay for collection, Christ told them that it was less important, that what is more important is to focus on caring for the needy, the widows, and the welfare of members of the church, So, he also, there is never a place you will see Christ just like our GOs are doing today, will finish ministration, or in the midst of his ministration will introduce payment of tithes or payment of offerings into it. He never did. And he never instituted that tithing must be paid. He said, this you ought to do. That was, as at that time, it was still okay. But, and without leaving the more important thing, which is caring for the widows, for the orphans, for everybody, undone. So Christ made that distinction that yes, you are paying your tithe as at that time, but, and it was still allowed, but that it was not important as taking care of the people, the needy, the widows, the widowers, the orphans, the visitors, the helpless in the society. Now, looking at that, you will see that even when you collect these tithes in those days, they were meant to cater for the Levites as well as the widows, the orphans, and those who are in need. But today, we know what the monies are being applied for by the church. Now, tithing, like I said, is the key thing that the government is tasking or wants to tax. We don't know whether they will include first fruit, which is like it, donations, every other, or other offerings. We don't know. Now, my take is this. I fully support the taxation of churches that are collecting tithes because it is a business venture. It is purely a business venture because Christ did not pay it. Christ did not ask his disciples to pay it, and he even made it clear that it's of less importance. So in the New Testament dispensation, tithing is not part of it. So if anybody is collecting it, any church is collecting it as a commercial venture. So that church must pay tithes. Likewise, first fruit payment is not of the new dispensation. Christ did not collect it. His disciples did not collect it. Our people today are collecting because it's the steady way to generate money, project heavy money into the account of either the GO or the church, whatever it is, without even considering using it for the purposes for which the Bible or God or tithing or first fruit payment was established, to care and cater for the priest and the needy. So, it is a commercial venture. An easy way to exploit the people. A lot of debates have gone on. It has been clearly pointed out from the Bible that payment of tithe is not something that should be done today. So if the government is taxing it, I support it. If they are taxing first fruit, I support it. Even to me, if they are taxing Thanksgiving money, which some churches have turned to another lucrative way of sourcing for their appeasing their insatiable appetite for money, demand for money, I support it. In some churches today, Look, they will say the Oba's Thanksgiving, the artisan's Thanksgiving, the trader's Thanksgiving, the professional's Thanksgiving. Professionals can be broken into several, all chartered accountants, all accountants, all bricklayers, all carpenters, all welders, all drivers, all motorbike riders, all groundnut hawkers, all paupers, then all chiefs, all just to generate just all these monies. These monies should be taxed. Let me tell you, the principle that applied to tax, so to tithing in the Bible, in the Old Testament, which they are still insisting on implementing, should also apply to taxing the funds they collected. Like I said, they are not using it for the welfare of the people. Not at all. But, you know, in the Bible, if you could not pay your tithe, when you are coming to pay it, number one, is a debt on you. You have to pay. And then, when you are paying it, you will pay 1/4 of the amount. Let's assume that it is 10,000 naira, whereas it shouldn't even be, tithing should not even be money at all, but out of the greed for gain, we monetize it. The only way you can monetize tithing in those days was for you to use the money, because you cannot carry the loads that you wanted to carry down to the place that the Lord shall choose. Maybe it is far. And then you sell whatever you wanted to do and use there. Then when you get there, use the money to buy it back. Not that you go and donate the money somewhere. So that money, by the time you are paying it back because you are unable to pay, you are going to pay at least 1/5 or 1/4 or so. Can't remember now. You will have to pay it in addition. Likewise, the government should tax these greedy churches for, in fact, if I were to be, I would tax them. Very, very important that they are taxed. Let them also surrender to the government part of what they collected. Then, another principle is this. Your tithe, things that can be can be taxed or tithed upon in the church are, if you are giving gifts, maybe monetary gifts, you have to pay 10% of that money as tithe. If you are giving a shirt, you have to value that shirt and then pay 10% of the value of that shirt. If anybody gives you even donations, that's why churches, donations and everything, pledges, everything should be taxed. If you are giving anything, the church will teach you, and it is in the Old Testament, which is no longer applicable today, according to Hebrews 7, because Christ has come and has brought a new order, new covenant that superseded the old, which they are still implementing even in the New Testament era. So you have got to be taxed. The same principles that the Bible used should be used upon all these churches that are collecting donations, pledges, vows, everything. They should all be taxed. They too will then know what it means, the pains that those who are paying this money are going through. I know, of course, they begin to falsify their records. That is why not just the tithes. Every money that comes to the church should be tithed upon for government to take back part of it. Okay. Secondly, the church, the government should not, if they want to implement that tithing aspect, then they should implement the purpose for which the tax is meant. The government should audit the accounts of these organizations, which are supposed to be charitable organizations, which they have turned to commercial centers. They should audit annually what the churches use the tithes for, because it is clear in the Bible that it is for the needy, it is for the poor, it is for the orphans, it is for the widows, it is for the Levites. It should be audited that these monies are being applied to, like what you call corporate social service. They are NGOs collecting free money and applying it, diverting it to whatever they like, and at the detriment of the people that contributed it. So they too should start being taxed for the monies. Like I said, they should also be regulated. I know there was one GO that said, one member said, who contributed very well to the programs of the church, that one day asked him to prepare an account to see how the money is being spent, and that eventually he prepared the account and he placed it on the altar, that anybody who wants to, that he will not use his hand to give it to them, because it's God's money. It's not accountable to man. This and that. All these are fabus. All these are the various ways they deceive us, making it like something that is so sacred. The dad said he prepared the thing and left it there for whoever wants to see. Who are you deceiving? Yes, churches are accountable to God. All of us, organizations, every business, everything, even including business, they are accountable to God. Everybody. It's not only church funding that is accountable, that you are accountable to God for, that you say government cannot check. All that is why the decadence we have in the churches are there today, because there is no checks and balances. This collection of money and spending the money is administrative. It is not spiritual. It is administrative, more so that they even left the spiritual side of it by using it to take care of the people, that they're diverting it. It is purely administrative, and it should be, government should have responsibility for these organizations to account for them. They are NGOs. So I support that these money-mongering churches be taxed. At least let's start from there, because they are doing everything with impunity. They are in the one controlling the governor. They are, apart from their affiliation with the politicians, they are the one controlling everything. The power base of the country. They should be taxed. Enough of all this. Thank God that eyes are being opened. Everything has checks and balances, even the Church of God. From among themselves, they are supposed to have checks and balances. It may sound radical, and then the myopic ones among them might say, oh, this guy is Antichrist, is this. Or that President Bola Tinubu is Antichrist, is this. I'm telling you, it is not true. The argument that would have availed the church, for church not to be taxed, would have been that, okay, the people that pay the tax, that they are paying, that the people that pay the tax, that they've already paid tax on it. It's not true. The moment the money gets to your own hand as a body, you should pay your tax to government. Countries like the US, they even give tax rebate. You can see, they give tax rebate for those who pay tithes to the church. It is justified. But here, we know we don't have tax rebate. You may say, okay, government is not giving tax rebate and they want to tax the money. There's nothing that makes that taxation necessary, except that our churches are greedy and the tithes are not money they should collect. The donations that they are collecting, they are not applying it for the purpose of the church. You can now imagine, there is a statistics that was released by one of the GOs. He said, amongst the 10 richest people in Nigeria, in the world, 5 of them were Nigerians. But among the richest churches in the world, there is no Nigerian church that is among the 10. Do you understand what it means? Which means that substantial major part of these monies are being diverted to the private pockets of empires of our GOs, not the church that they claim that the money is being paid to. How come that they are now far, far richer than the churches that they are managing? They should be taxed. They should be, at least, to get part of the money back from them, they should be taxed. The churches in Nigeria is in such a decadent position because the government did not take responsibility for regulating them. All the attempts that were made several years ago to regulate the church are being foiled up to today. I don't know what became of the law then, that churches' accounts will be audited. Up to today, the powers that be from the churches and government, in collusion with the government, they sat on it. I pray that this will come out. There is nobody that has absolute autonomy. We are all accountable to God, individually and corporately. So, President Bola Tinubu, I think, is in the right direction. I know that people will now rise, the GOs will rise up and then say, don't vote for Tinubu. When you didn't vote for him the other time, did he not win? Repeat your episode. God will do his own. Whoever will be appointed to position, it will be by God. You will know God when you want to collect money, but you will not know God when you want to dispense it. You will never dispense it according to the will of that God whose name you used to collect the money. Wickedness in high places, wickedness of the highest order, wickedness from the pulpit. I don't think that imams have issues because they don't collect tithes. They don't collect tithes. So, the president just wants it to make it look as if it's religious center that he's talking about, not Christianity. It's more. In fact, it's 90% Christianity. But maybe there are some versions of the Islamic people that have now veered like the church into collecting tithes or any form of something that is tithe-like, mandatory, compulsory, maybe, okay, fine. Those people too should be at their brunt. So the government is taking the right step, bold step, to really bring sanity to everybody. And I think we should all embrace it. Those of you might think, hey, sacrilege is this, is a lie. Anything money is man-made. It's man invented. What belongs to Caesar, it is. Government printed money, government initiated money. So if they want to collect it back, they are the Caesars that should get back what belongs to them. Christ paid tax. Even that's enough. That's enough to tell you. Say, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And to God what belongs to God. Your soul for God. Your money for Caesar. For the government. Let us be realistic. Let us be sane for once. Let truth prevail. May God help us. Once again, I'm your friend, Pastor Yemi Omogboyega. It's high time that the churches started behaving well. And if they don't want to, let the government come in and curb their excesses. I'm a pastor. I will never collect tithe from anybody because it's something that used to be practiced, then the Bible erases, and then for me to go and start taking it again, I am violating the God's regulations that I profess to uphold. That will not be my portion. And those of you who are paying it, well, you are doing it. It's your own free will. If you waste your life, if you waste your destiny, if you waste everything, it is left in your own hands. Your life is in your hands. Do it the way you like. But don't blame anybody if poverty becomes your portion. You won't realize this until you are 60 and above. And you look back, you no longer can go to work. And the church has been using you, even up to your pension, up to your gratuity, they collected it. And you become stripped off of all the blessings that the Lord has given to you in the name of serving God. God did not intend that for you. If you intend it for yourself, that is your own choice. God bless you. Please share, subscribe, like, and comment as fairly as you can. I know because some fanatics will come up and be abusing and doing that. Whatever you wish me, of course, is returning to you. I hope you realize that. The law of karma. God bless you. For saying the truth, whatever you wish me, you are wishing yourself. God bless you. Bye.